Welcome back to Road Gang Radio. Join Jimmy Mack and Lindsay Lawler's Gang of the Airwaves by subscribing to Radio Nemo on YouTube.
We celebrate all kinds.
Make it official. After all, if you're listening, you're already in the gang. The Road Gang.
I'm Lindsay Lawler. We have a returning guest joining us, a returning establishment joining us, which is very exciting. And it's weird. It's wild. It doesn't really make sense, and therefore it makes perfect sense. Jim, it sounds like our show, actually.
It actually fits perfectly into the rubric. And good morning to you, Lindsay. Like I said, it's just so much fun. I was telling you before how fast this show goes. I look up, you're here, and then it's almost over. By the way, MOBA, the Museum of Bad Art, named Louise Sacco acting interim.
I got a great intro for Jim.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're okay.
You're introducing Matthew. I'm introducing Louise.
Thought so I'm a total idiot. I'm like going, am I? Okay. All right. I got it. Okay.
We're good. We're good to go. Okay,
Let
y'all. Hey guys, welcome back to Road Gang Radio, where we are professional. Our first guest today, it's one of my favorites already, returning, because she runs what might just be the most delightfully ridiculous and brilliant museum in the world, Jim. I know you agree with this.
Yeah, Zebulon 5 claims to have a better one, but they're liars, dude. This is it, man. In the known universe.
This is the one.
In the known universe.
And as Jim mentioned earlier, check this title out. Louise Sacco, she is the permanent acting interim executive director. I'm as confused about that as I am about this show, and that makes me happy. So, of the Museum of Bad Art, yes, you heard me right. Bad Art, it's exactly as magical as it sounds. They've got locations in Boston, and now they've expanded to also be in Quebec City. They're tucked inside a brewery, nonetheless. Thank you very much for your service, which means you can sip a cold beer while contemplating their masterpieces that are so bad. So bad, they're actually kind of genius. So since 1993, MOBA, the Museum of Bad Art, has been proudly celebrating art in all its awkward, off-kilter glory, earning attention everywhere from Rolling Stone to NPR to the National Enquirer. That's the one they really wanted, and they got it, guys.
I have a dream. I have a dream that one day Bad Art will be in the National Enquirer. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's the dream moment. Enter the champagne toast. Under Louise's watch is, by the way, how they got that National Enquirer expo. So they've grown into the world's only museum that says, "Bring us your paintings, your sculptures, your glorious disasters yearning to be seen." So we're going to dive into what the heck that actually means. Let's welcome Louise Sacco, proving once again and for all that beauty really is in the eye of the beer holder. Good morning, Louise. How are you?
I am happy. I'm so pleased to hear your enthusiasm about our museum that I feel like I should just hang up and let you tell the story. But I won't.
Bye. Bye. Thanks for coming. No, don't leave us.
No.
We have abandonment issues. Please don't leave us, Louise.
I won't.
Okay,
and abandonment issues is a good place to start because in many ways, the Museum of Bad Art is the island of misfit toys. It is art looking for a home, and in many ways they find it. And I just want to give people, we'll just jump right into specifics. You guys have a collection called Portraits, which I will tell you just had me both laughing and my breath taken away and trying to figure out if I would in fact hang any of this stuff in my home. And the answer was yes. So by way of anecdotal example, to explain the Museum of Bad Art, explain the Portraits collection.
Oh, all right. Well, every art museum, almost everyone, has a portrait collection. And we decided ours needed to be portraits. The museum, I want to be really clear that we love all these works. They are pieces that were sincerely created. They have heart and soul and sometimes excellent skills, but something went wrong. Somebody made a bad judgment or didn't have the skills they thought they had, resulting in an image that makes you ask questions and have fun with it. We call it art too bad to be ignored.
Too bad to be. But what, on that tip, he said these were created in sincerity. What happens when the artist who is so joyful and loves their work finds out they're in, like, does the artist have to submit it themselves, or is somebody come to find out that they've been inducted to the Museum of Bad Art, and they're like, wait, I thought it was good art. Do you ever get those kind of conversations?
Well, much of the art was picked up from the trash or from a thrift store, a yard sale, and most often we just can't track down the artist if the work is signed at all. But our experience has been when somebody does realize that their picture, for instance, was in a book we published, the first book we published in 1994, two artists over the following 10 or 12 years realized that they were in our book. They're excited because we are bringing them an audience. When an artist creates something, he wants someone to see it. He wants to, people to talk about it, and we're doing that. The other thing is that our mission is really clear. We collect, exhibit, and celebrate art that will not be appreciated anywhere else. So we're celebrating their work.
Let me ask a follow-up question, what Lindsay was talking about as well, too. Have you ever gotten stuff that actually wasn't bad, where somebody just brought something in and been like, look at this, and you're like, I hate to break the bad news to you, but there's a really compelling vision here, and there's something that is deliberate that's going on inside of it. And that's really hard because, in some ways you guys are, not some ways, you are a curator. You've got to make sometimes those kind of calls, but it's the opposite call of what people usually have to make.
Yeah, and the thing, we don't often run into something that you'd consider too good. Usually what happens is people offer us things that are just uninteresting, or they were deliberately made for someone trying to get into the museum, and it shows through. You can just see it. We don't want children's art or paint by numbers or shtick. We don't want kittens with big eyes or paintings on velvet, things like that. So, excuse me.
The cliche bad art, yeah.
It's got to be, to us, it's got to be art. And to be art, it needs to be sincere and original and trying to communicate something. We do beg people to send us a photo of the work before they send it to us because we've ended up with a lot of things we really don't want and will never exhibit. That's our rejection collection, which we occasionally give away pieces from or have an auction or something. But once something is accepted into the collection, it stays, and we now have almost 900 pieces. Obviously, we don't have room to show them. We're showing about 70 in the Dorchester Brewing Company in Boston right now. They've given us their walls as our permanent location, and about another 60 in Quebec City in a lovely old building in the old city part of Quebec.
I wanted to kind of follow up, and this is by way of insight. So what you're basically saying, if it was good enough to hang in a dentist's office or a pediatrician's office in the 1970s, you guys probably aren't interested.
That's right. And if it's sold at an art sale in a hotel where people look for a painting to match the sofa, it's not going to be for us. Or sold in tourist areas on the sidewalks.
It's not for you. Well, Jim, there's. Let's really break this down because I'm gonna get a little deep here. Are you ready?
Lindsay gets a little
I'm ready
deep.
for you.
Number one.
Well, there's a life lesson in here. I think that in life, a lot of us fear failing publicly, and I feel like MOBA, the Museum of Bad Art, is kind of flipping the script on that. It turns failure, quote unquote failure, into something collectible. Because Louise, do you think that celebrating bad art, I may be way overthinking this because listen, it's called the Museum of Bad Art and you're in a brewery and it's meant to be fun and meant to have people to stop taking themselves so seriously, probably, but also it feels like a celebration of bravery, bravery to create regardless of the result. I think as a songwriter, we have to write 1,000 songs to get one that maybe clicks and works. So we have to get out of our own way and just throw everything out, and that can be, especially when you're co-creating, a little nerve-wracking to be like, oh, I'm going to put this lyric out there. Are you going to think I'm done or whatever? But it's the same thing with art. It's like from an artist standpoint, create, and then good, bad, whether it's good or bad is up to everyone else. You're just there to curate the leftovers, so to speak. I don't know. But is that too deep of a stance?
I don't think so.
It's not at all. One of the things that we talk about often is that we celebrate failure. We're saying to people, go ahead and give it a shot. we might love it anyway, even if it didn't accomplish what you hoped it would. The other surprise that we had once we got started is we are a great place to take people who are intimidated by museums. Because if, say, a school group comes, and high school kids sometimes are very intimidated by traditional art museums. They feel like they're supposed to like it all, but if they come to us, it frees them up to disagree, to have their own opinions, to talk about it and think about it, about our art, in a way they should actually be thinking about all art.
That really lands beautifully, by the way. Okay, so I keep on going to portraits just to kind of go by way of examples. And so the first piece of art in there, and by the way, there's a lot of pieces of art in here that we could actually break down and talk about, is called Lucy in the Field with Flowers, which, of course, to me, actually, I laugh because I kept thinking about Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So here's Lucy in the Field with Flowers. There's nothing right about this, in the sense that there are elements and pieces where you go, oh, that's some interesting flowers there. But, I mean, I'm telling you, this lady looks like she is skipping while leaning backwards, holding a bouquet of flowers with a look like somebody literally just broke wind right in front of her. And it really has that feeling to it. And I was kind of curious for two things. One, you guys, of course, title these because, in your curation, you're the ones giving these titles. And so when you decide to hang this or put this up, how do you decide where to place it? Because so much of what you guys are doing is creating a collage of striking images. Whatever the issues are with these paintings, they're striking. I mean, they capture your attention. You're like, what in the hell is wrong with that? It really gets you, right? I mean, that's kind of the baseline, correct?
Absolutely. The piece you picked out was really perfect because that was the piece that started it all. An arts and antiques dealer in Boston found that waiting for the trash truck to pick it up, and he grabbed it, planning to throw out the painting and save the frame. But his friend, my brother, said, you can't throw that out. It's so bad it's good. And my brother hung it in his house, and that really is what started the whole museum. The other wonderful thing about that painting is that when we started to get some attention around Boston, an article about the museum in one of these weekly entertainment newspapers that used to kick around had Lucy's picture in the newspaper. And we got a call from a woman who said, that's my Nana. And she told us the whole backstory of how when her grandmother died, the auntie was bereft, and they had a painting made from two photos. We've seen the photos, and in one photo, Nana is sitting, and in another, she's standing, which explains some of the weird stance you see there. The other thing is she explained the yellow sky. She said they told the artist that Nana's favorite color was blue, and they'd like to put her in a blue dress. So the artist said, well, she had to make the sky yellow when she had that blue dress to deal with. She couldn't make a blue sky. But this whole, over a couple of years, this whole story evolved, and that piece was the anchor that started our whole museum.
It's interesting if you go on the website museumofbadart.org and you click on collections, there, first of all, there's some really funny names of these collections for sure. There's the I AYE, and it's eye portraits, of course. There's unlikely landscapes, which is really funny. I love that there's literally like this beautiful watercolor painting, somewhat of the mountains, and there's snow, and then there's kind of one of those Easter Island statues, but he also, by the way, kind of looks like Bart Simpson wearing goggles with these droopy boobs. I don't know what's happening, but I like it. But I'm staring at it. I'm staring at it longer than I stare at quote unquote normal art. And my favorite is Oozing My Religion, the category there. And it's funny, as bad as this religious art is, Louise, I want your take here, but I feel like some of it's pretty deep. Maybe they had something really deep to say, but they weren't actually a painter or an artist, because there's some depth in throwing everything in there, being like, I'm trying to show you, for instance, Jesus, he's kind of different colors on one side of his face. The other one half is brown, one half is white. He's got a sun behind him. He's got a heart on his chest, and he's kind of doing the Kuan Yin peace sign. I don't know. There's a lot going on. My guess is they were trying to say we are all one in Jesus's eyes. I don't know. But I think there's a lot more depth there that just perhaps the artist wasn't very good himself, but did have something to say. Does that track?
It does. And the other thing that you're getting to is that many of the most interesting paintings are the ones that have the deepest emotions that people are trying to express, and they get twisted sometimes. And the biggest categories for that are religious paintings and pets. People feel so strongly about their pets and try to present them in novel ways, and often get a little confused. We have one that tickles me. That's a fat kitty who's looking angry about something, and maybe it's because they have him nestled on top of a cornucopia full of fruit. What does a cat want with fruit? You know?
I'm just going to, okay, first of all, you said novel ways. Maybe that's the problem here. Maybe they should have written a novel rather than actually trying to take a stab at making a painting here. But the other thing is, too, is that some of these things are really funny. Some of them are genuinely creepy. And there was one, in the collection of the one about colors where, I think people are trying to do their Picasso blue period, and they end up painting realistic people with, like, blue skin. Blue comes up a lot as a skin, Lindsay. I mean, a lot of these people actually were members of the Starship Enterprise. But there's one, Mama and Babe. I have to tell you, if I walked into a lonely old house and saw that picture on the wall, I would actually walk out. That so much of this is about context, too, because some of this stuff, there is a loneliness in a lot of these portraitures that I did not realize until I saw later on. And it's in some ways, and because you guys aren't making fun of these people, but because you're simply giving them a platform, it doesn't feel like you're hurting them. But there's a lot of loneliness in these paintings, because one of the things about creating art that never gets seen makes you incredibly lonely and incredibly angry. And I do notice, I don't know if you've noticed that or if you noticed it, Lindsay, but there was a lot of times
I could see that.
Some of it made me sad. I don't mean sad enough to look away, and I don't mean sad like pathetic. I just mean like, man, you're out there trying something that a lot of people never give a shot to. Am I making any sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is longing, there is loneliness, there is sadness, and people are using art, as they should, to deal with and express with some of these things. But, something just doesn't quite work.
Well, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, in the portrait gallery, one of my very favorite pieces, I mean, the other thing people do is things that just don't make sense. There's a painting called George and Jackie, and it's George Washington and Jackie Kennedy apparently flirting with one another. Well, it just, it doesn't make sense, and it makes you really want to say, what were they thinking? Why did they have Jackie Kennedy flirting with George Washington? Does it mean something? I mean, it just like fine art in a traditional museum, it raises questions.
Well, I will say, Jim, it made me think of We Should Write a little bit. Louise, we have a show here called We Should Write about the healing power of writing. The idea is you got to write. You got to get the clutter out so that you can get to the core, find the greatness. And I kind of think about that with art here. It's like some people have to get the bad art out so they can get to the good art. And so, I think probably, I'm going to guess, there are artists that are hanging in your museum there that are also hanging in a good art museum somewhere else, which is kind of a fun balance. Okay, I want to pivot here.
Pivot.
Because you guys are located in a brewery in Boston, which is pretty awesome and fitting. So I want to talk about, it's a beer garden. You're inside the brewery. Does the art get better or worse after a couple beers? And I'm guessing there are people that come for the beers, stay for the art, or come for the art, stay for the beers, that those kind of go hand in hand at some point. But do people get not drunk, happy, and then decide, oh, I'm really into this art, and maybe even decide that they're going to be an artist themselves? What does your clientele look like in that regard?
Yeah, the Dorchester Brewing Company that we're in was a pretty well-established, pretty successful brewery, and they gave us their walls. This means we can continue to have free admission to our museum because you're just walking into a brewery. And it has been a good thing for for MOBA and for the brewing company because, as you say, people come for the beer or they come for the art, but they're there. And there's also a barbecue restaurant in there, so people can also have dinner, and it's a whole evening. It's a great first date, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
But we think that the beer, having a beer or two adds to the enjoyment. I think people. When we were in other locations that didn't have beer, people would be a little quieter, looking around, talking, maybe talking quietly to the person they came in with. Whereas now they will, walk in and say, "Oh my God, what is this?" and and really talk with one another and share opinions. And it's a wonderful environment for us. It's wonderful for the brewery because they're getting people in who wouldn't ordinarily go to, Dorchester is not right in downtown Boston. It's a little bit out south a little bit, and it's bringing tourists and people off cruise boats coming in because they know that there is an art museum in this brewery.
Jim, it's like my shows. It's if you perform, or you've been on stage, you're performing to a sober audience versus a drunk audience is a very different performance.
It's a very different preparation too, if you actually know where people are in terms of walking in. Let me. This is interesting because there's a painting early on. By the way, my favorite collection is the MOBA Sports collection. There are moments in that, Lindsay, where I'm like, is that a centaur? Is that a satyr on the ground, like stopping somebody from scoring at home plate? It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. But there was a painting in the portraits of the dance of family relations that actually is the beginning of something good, at least for me. I was like really interested in actually what was happening. And the other thing that makes me a little sad is I wonder if somebody took a shot early on and somebody told them it wasn't any good, and then they stopped doing it. Because there are a couple of painters here, Lindsay, I'll tell you the truth, because painting is a technique too. We do have a SCAD graduate here. But there are people, I think where you look and you go, maybe with a couple more reps, maybe with early encouragement, something could have come from this, if that makes any sense. Am I making...
Absolutely. There are some really skilled artists who have pieces in our museum. There are a couple who are professional artists who earn their living that way. And, they know something didn't work, and they sometimes offer us the piece. Or in one case, we found a piece, Sunday on the Pot with George, which is a pointillist piece of a man sitting on a toilet with like a towel wrapped around him. We published it in a book in 1994, and 8 or 10 years later, we learned that it was made by John Gudritis, who's an artist here south of Boston, who earns his living doing art, is thrilled that we found this early piece of his, and is quite a skilled artist. His skill even shows in that piece. But that's one of those things that you just look at and say, but why? Why did he put all that effort of all those tiny little dots to create this very particular person? He's not just a generic person. In this pose, So people who know what they're doing, who are professionals, can have a bad day, make a bad decision, and end up with a piece in MOBA.
We are talking with Louise Sacco. She is the permanent acting interim executive director of the Museum of Bad Art. I want to know too, do you ever get into heated debates with the other, I don't know what kind of staff you have, how many people you are, but do you ever get debates over what's too good to hang in the museum?
Never too good. It's sometimes just back to that question about is it sincere art? Is it interesting? Is it worthwhile?
Gotcha.
And there are two of us who run the museum. Neither of us is paid. I'm the executive director, and Michael Frank is the curator. And between us, we figure it out, and we've kept it running for 31 years.
So no one paid. So that was my other question. What else do you do, Louise? Because this isn't a full-time gig for you, obviously. This is a fun passion that brings something that you find fun and brings joy to others as well. What do you do in your other life?
I'm retired. I am older than you think, and I've been retired.
Congratulations!
For a long time.
Congratulations, by the way. Well deserved.
But my other I was a business consultant to small businesses in the U.S. and in Europe, and as an independent consultant. But I haven't done that for many years. But right now, my job, besides this, is that I'm an usher at Fenway Park, which is
Oh,
so
wow.
much fun.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
paid to watch baseball. I've been doing that for 20 years too, and it's just I grew up very close to Fenway Park, so this is a dream retirement job.
Wow. Oh my gosh. My husband who's listening right now is dying. He's from Boston. He's a huge Red Sox fan, and his little brother, Louise, who passed away a couple years ago, but he was a bar manager at Washington Square Tavern, which wasn't far from Fenway. And ball players would come in. He would give them tickets, and they'd give him tickets in exchange for beers. And that's just such. I got to see my first, finally, Boston Red Sox game in person last year, and I get it now. I get it now. The power and the magic behind that is so cool. So the fact that you have that is pretty cool.
Lindsay, do this. The next time you're coming to Boston, or your husband is, you know how to get in touch with me. Call me, and we'll fix you up with seat upgrades or something like that.
Ooh, I'll do that and have a beer and look at bad art and Boston Red Sox, baby. Now that's a trip. Everyone, that's awesome. And people going, we have a lot of truck drivers. If you're passing through, you want to head on over museumofbadart.org, stop in, have a beer, get some barbecue, see some bad art, beer, barbecue, and bad art, Jim. That sounds like a match made in heaven.
And I promise you guys, when you look at the stuff on their website, there is nothing that makes you go, meh. None of it is meh, to kind of go back to the idea that this stuff shouldn't be hanging in a dentist or a pediatrician's office in the 1970s. It really is like, what? Hold on. What am I looking at? I mean, all of this stuff has the one important requisite of art, great art, is that it stops you in your tracks. Now, what you observe after that, you'll understand. But all of this stuff, really, a lot of it is like really arresting. And that seems to be the kind of consistent thing. Say what you want about bad art, but unlike blah art, it actually grips you in the moment and forces you to think about what you're looking at.
It's still art.
It's still
Listen,
art.
they at least made it. What are you doing? You know who I'm talking to, you.
Yeah, get out there and get it done. Louise, we love you. You're welcome back anytime. And because of our new platform, we might actually be able to do a broadcast from beer, barbecue, and really bad art. Thank you,
That'd be
Louise.
fun.
You'd be welcomed.
That would be awesome. Please have the best day. Go Sox.
Go Sox. Go Sox
Thank
as
you,
well.
and thank you for giving me some fun this morning too.
Oh, you got
Yay.
it. We like Louise. Louise is gonna. We're actually gonna probably. I'd like to get her on and just have her pick like 2 or 3 of her favorites and just talk about them and just like really break them down. So that we should actually, the next time we get Louise on, Lindsay, we should actually make an effort for us to pick like our 2 or 3 favorite paintings and really describe why we like them, and then let our listeners know a couple of weeks out so that they can give us a call and tell us about the bad art that they think is the best. The best bad art is Road Gang Radio.